Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. Fuck ice, I'm your ever-loving host, Jorty. I read Banana #1 yesterday, and I'm totally going to do a review of it. And it's a thing that it exists, and it's weird, like highly weird, weirder than I was expecting. And I kind of start by saying I wasn't expecting it to be that weird. And as much as it might not land for me, I think there is a huge audience out there for this kind of thing. The Eye Collector got picked up and did huge numbers when that came out, and that was another one which I read and just thought, this is just, it's going too far down a very hard to follow path for me. It's doing things which look interesting, certainly like visually, but story-wise, I just wasn't vibing with it. This kind of similar, not quite as bad as that, if anything, but I mean, I use the word bad there. Sorry, not quite as extreme as that, shall we say. I don't think it's bad, it's just not for me. It is a very weird comic book, but the weirdness comes from how little they explain. Because early on, I was thinking, well, this is just going to be an almost BoJack Horseman-esque, a world very similar to ours, but different in ways that everyone just accepts as the normal, just the way the world is. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can go with that. Like, at a certain point with BoJack Horseman, you'd stop worrying about all the oddity and just accept that this is the way things are. But now #1 very heavily leans into the idea that the things that are unusual about this world are unusual. That there is an event, there is a conflict, there is something going on which caused change, and people are still learning to cope with it. But I have no idea what that change was. I don't understand what the inciting incident would be. So as such, I spent most of this first issue just being like, but why? Why is it? And because that mystery is laid out very tantalizingly without any expectation of it being answered, I found myself just being like, well, why am I reading this? It seems to be, the point of it is just to be odd, to be unusual, to lay out this idea of a mystery, but then never really promise to pay it off. And I've said before, I don't like that kind of mystery box storytelling where the point of it is the mystery, not to solve it. And this one is more, the point of it is the weirdness, not having to explain the weirdness. Other than that, kind of enjoyed it. Like, cool over-the-top spy kind of stuff, like space stations and amazing activities going on, like little cults, unusual third world wars, or developing country wars. Sorry, my bad there. But the weirdness of it did pull me out ever so slightly, to the point that I'm like, I finished it and I was ready to come on here and give like a terrible review and to be like, well, no matter how good they did with their intention, which, you know, they set out to be weird, well done, this is not for me. I didn't find anything to grab hold of. But then I carried on reading, and there's a really nice Mark Waid and David Lapham story, and I just fell in love with the entire thing. If you don't know these people, they are both like comic book royalty. Like, Mark Waid has been going for a very long time, done some very big books. Lapham is a world famous artist. Like, they have so much credential behind them that it felt weird that this was like just a little extra thought in the back of the book. Well, in the middle of the book, really. But I found myself loving it. It is also kind of weird. And although it doesn't necessarily explain the full depths of the weirdness, the stuff that actually you want answers to, you get. It is a horror story. And Lapham's artwork, which is very, like, realism based, he goes for believable characters in believable worlds. The fact that unusual things were happening, but everyone was just kind of going along with it and accepting it for the way things actually are. His art style really, really nicely leaned into that. It's bold, heavy lines, all pure black and white, really nice backdrops, scenic backdrops. Everything feels very, very lived in. Never, I think, have I seen them do a bit where they just have a void as a background. I feel like the point of his art is to show a glimpse into this different reality, the different lives these characters are living, and if it didn't look realistic, it wouldn't have the same impact. In this particular case, it's 100% true, because yes, there is a mystery, yes, there is something unusual going on, but it takes you on an emotional ride as you're trying to figure out the details of it. You are following these characters through some of the most traumatic, weird, unusual, hard to explain things that they would ever have encountered. But because of how well Waid has written these characters and how grounded the world is around them, you find yourself rooting for them even when you don't think you should. You want them to at least get resolution, at least get an answer, at least have an understanding of why they've gone through everything. If not necessarily succeed, if not necessarily come out of it as the hero of the story, you at least want them to understand why they've gone through it, because that lack of knowledge, that lack of understanding is an issue, hence this probably been Tiny Banana number 1. I don't know. If you're going to read Banana number 1, go for it. It is fun. There is some spy stuff in there which is entertaining. It is over the top. The artwork is really good. But go into it with expectation of weirdness. And then maybe, I don't know, go and enjoy the other one slightly more. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!